Wednesday, when I will show you how to apply ground and use the bath. Okay? Intaglio printmaking is from the recesses. Intaglio printmaking is from the recesses. You know, it just occurred to me that this is like a very high-tech version of an overhead projector. And I grew up as an overhead projector student, so I guess that's why I'm overhead projectoring here. Writing and Procreate like it's an overhead projector. Yeah. Except I don't have to go erase something. But you babies might not even remember overhead projectors. They probably never had those for y'all. We use smart boards and whiteboards and all that kind of stuff.
Hey, I grew up in a poor school district. I absolutely had overhead projectors.
There you go. Alright, so intaglio printmaking is from the recesses. There are two primary types. Etching and engraving. Etching uses a chemical. Thank you. Etching uses a chemical solution to create line. Engraving uses a physical process to create line. I'm going to talk a little bit about engraving here first, because we are not going to be doing engraving, so it is all theory for you. But engraving, this can be either on metal plates or on wood. It's very highly detailed. And the way it works is why is my screen going random around there? You have a tool called a burin. B-U-R-R-E-N. Is that how it's spelled? I'm not sure my spelling. It's called burin. It's got a little round handle like this. Then it comes down at an angle. And then it has a sharp tip like this. So it is a chisel, similar to what you did in your liner cut. But it's got this angle to it. And then it'll have different tips to make different lines, just like you had different tools to make different cuts when you were carving. And then the plate rests on a little sandbag, like a little leather sandbag. And that gives it a surface to rest on, and then you can like rotate the plate on that sandbag really easily. How do you spell burin? That's gonna drive me crazy. B-R-U-I-N. That's how it's spelled. B-U-R-I-N. That's right, burin. Okay, there you go. And so you create your lines by physically, you put your hand over the end of the burn like this, and you drive it similar to the way I did, and you push, and it makes little fine lines. And the harder you press down, the deeper the line is. So that is how engraving works. Your money is made from engraved plates. So when they print money at the Treasury, they have engraved plates. And there are people who work as engravers for the U.S. Mint to make the original plates that get like reproduced and then used to print all the money. Okay. That is engraving. There is a, I'll talk about that in a second. Let's talk about etching. Etching is what we are going to be doing in this class. Etching is a chemical process. You have your plate. This is grossly exaggerated for detail, okay? So you have your plate, and I'm looking at it in profile, straight on from the side. First, notice that it is beveled. So 45 degrees. And you want it to be from the top to the bottom. This is good. This is not good. You see the difference between the two? So I will teach you how to bevel in just a little bit, and when you bevel, it's important to hold up from the side, and you're gonna look and you're gonna see that it looks like the side of the mighty Ziggurat raising into the Sumerian sky. It does not look like a snub-nosed little snake. Okay. Mighty Ziggurat, not snub-nosed snake. So, after you bevel, you will then polish your plate, and then you are going to apply a ground. You're going to apply a ground across the top of the plate. This is the ground. You will also want to paint some stop out ground along the sides. The back of the plate is protected. Have you noticed, are the black back of the plates like green? So that is a protectant that is going to keep that from being exposed to your etching. But this is what you have, okay? There are two types of grounds. Just want to cover up what's underneath without like erasing it on the other layer. So there's two types of grounds. One of them, well, there's more than two types of grounds really, okay? So let's talk about types of grounds. We have hard ground, we have soft ground, and we have an aquatint ground. Your hard ground is hard. Your soft ground is soft, okay? This means that your hard ground is used for creating crisp lines, and you draw through it. Your soft ground is used for creating diffused lines or texture. So, you could coat a plate in soft ground, put a piece of lace over it, or maybe a feather, run that through the press, and the soft ground will offset onto that lace or feather, and then you can put it in the bath, and if it has picked up well, it will etch that lace or that feather image into the plate. Your hard ground, you use an etching needle. And it looks like this. Did you guys see this in your kit?
Yes.
And it's twisted. And it's got these sharp points at the top and the bottom. And like the point is beveled a little bit, and then it makes it really sharp. So when I use my etching needle, it's at home. I've been using the same etching needle since I was in grad school at least. It might be the same etching needle I used in undergrad. And I have got a big old, like, masking tape that I have built up around the edge of it, like this kind of, with masking tape. And after all my years of using it, it's really like conformed to the way I hold my fingers. So it's kind of like a pencil grip around that etching needle built up for masking tape. And it makes it a lot more comfortable for me to use. So if you guys, I suggest that you take that masking, take some tape, and like build yourself up a more comfortable and ergonomic on your etching needle when you're ready to work. So what happens with the hard ground? This hard ground, once it's dry, we're gonna paint it on. It's a really stinky, smelly liquid. We're gonna paint it on, and once it is dry, you'll be able to scratch through it with your etching needle. The ground is composed of in different amounts. There's two kinds. Most of you are going to be using liquid hard ground, which is mineral spirit. Traditionally, it was turpentine, but we use mineral spirit because it's a little bit less toxic. Asphaltum. And it might be all that the liquid is. I can double check the recipe. There's also something called ball hard ground. And it is composed of asphaltum, beeswax. I think there might be rosin dissolved in that. I'll double check that because I hadn't looked at the recipe in a little while. Asphaltum, beeswax, and rosin. That makes this hard ground a solid at room temperature, and the way you apply this is on a hot plate. You melt it and roll it on. So it is a little harder to get an even coat. But it dries very quickly. So if you're using a hard ball ground and you roll it on a hot plate, as soon as your plate has cooled down enough to touch, it's ready to use. The liquid hard ground you apply with a brush, and it takes about 45 minutes to an hour to cure. But it's easier to get a smooth coating. Once the ground is on your surface, it doesn't matter which way you applied it. So it's really a personal preference thing. I need to double check and make sure that we have some ball hard ground. We usually do. I know that we've got liquid hard ground. If we've got the ball hard ground, I'll show you guys how to use both, and then it's up to you which one you like to use. Personally, I prefer the ball. It's a little bit transparent, so I think it's easier to see what you've already done to the plate, and I like the fact that I don't have to wait an hour for it to cure before I can work. But if you plan accordingly and you like the liquid hard ground and like it being nice and like the ease of application, then, you know, ground your plate before you go to lunch, and by the time you get back, it's ready to use. Either of those work. Once you have your plate grounded, and we'll talk more to come on the aquatint. Aquatint is going to get its own whole lecture, okay? But for now, what you need to know about aquatint is that is how you make tone. Okay, aquatint is tone. Now, the way this works is you take your etching needle and you are going to just break through the surface of your ground. Whee, twisty needle. And when you break through the surface of the ground in different places, let's say we broke through the ground here, and then we broke through the ground here, and here, and here, right? And then let's say we break through the ground here, 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 through some really intense cross-hatching. Then, all of this goes into the bath. So it goes in your etching bath. We are going to be using zinc plates, and our bath is made out of copper sulfate. It is a pretty non-toxic bath. Don't get it on your skin and whatnot. Don't be sticking your hands in it willy-nilly, but it doesn't give off a lot of fumes. It is also possible to etch copper plates using a ferric chloride ground. That is also a salt, and it will react with the copper to create your etched marks in the plate, your indentions in the plate. Copper and ferric is a slower etch as opposed to the zinc. We use the zinc and the copper sulfate bath because it's fast. It's a hot etch and it's fast. So it will take about, 7 minutes to make something in that bath that would take an hour in the other bath. So it's just much faster. Also, we get to use zinc instead of copper. When I was in undergrad, I was taught to etch zinc plates in a nitric acid solution. That is a lot more dangerous than what we are using here. So we are not going to be using the nitric to etch. But I have this nasty habit from undergrad because of that, by referring to the bath as the acid. So if you hear me as I'm telling you directions, and if I say put it back in the acid for another 10 minutes, I mean the bath. It's just that I have it so deep in my brain that if I'm not actively thinking to call it the bath, it comes out as the acid. Sorry. But that's just the same thing. It's because of how I was taught. But what you're going to do, the first time you put it in the bath, we're in the bath now. And so anywhere that the ground is broken and exposed, that solution is going to make that metal corrode and go away. So the first time you go into the bath, everything that has been opened up, it's gonna make those indentations in the plate. I'm gonna duplicate. I'm just gonna trace it. So here is our plate after it goes into the bath. Oh, well, that was done. I just traced it on the same layer. Oop. All right. So now, the ground is here, 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 and here on the plate. So what you're going to do now is you're going to use mineral spirits to clean that off of the surface. And now, we are gonna ink our plate, and I don't wanna use black because I feel like you can't see the difference between the two. So what color ink are we gonna use?
Red.
No, because red is the brown.
Oh, wait.
Green. Alright, I like green. We'll go with green. Like a dark green. So, it is time for you to pull a proof and test what this looks like. You are going to cover the whole plate with ink. And you're gonna use a little piece of mat board, and you're gonna push that ink down into all of the recesses of the plate and evenly across the whole surface. Then you are going to take first a pad of starched cheesecloth. You make a little like mushroom cap size little pad out of the starched cheesecloth. It's called a tarlatan. I think I spelled that wrong. I think T-R-L-A-T-A-N, tarlatan. It is a starched cheesecloth. And you are going to use it, and you are going to wipe, and then you are going to use paper. I particularly, traditionally we use newsprint, i.e. telephone book pages. Because once upon a time, before the internet, we had these things called telephone books that had all of the numbers that people had for their landline phones listed in them. These are archaic relics of a different time and place. But they were printed on newsprint, and they were free, so it was a really good way to get newsprint for the print shop. So you can use little bits of newsprint, little squares of newsprint, but I have realized that I really like to use and get great results with white gift wrap tissue. So I recommend that you go, for a few different reasons, that you go, especially because Christmas stuff is starting to come out now, and you can get the really big pack of white tissue paper for pretty cheap at like Walmart. It's really useful for Natalia. So you're going to use the paper next. And you're gonna wipe, Notice what happens over here where you opened up a great big space. Where you opened up a great big space, you're starting to wipe away the bottom of that as well. And then the third thing that you do, guess what the third thing you use is?
Your hand?
Your hand. And I'll show you how, but that's how you get a really nice wipe. So what has happened is that now the ink is no longer on the surface of your block, not your block, your plate, and it has caught in your lines and in the corners of your open area here. Then you are going to put damp paper and then I like to put tissue paper. I like to put 4 pieces of white gift wrap tissue. It just protects the paper from anything up above it. And then you're gonna put the press blankets. Go on top of that. And then you're gonna run under the press and high pressure. And what's gonna happen is that high pressure is gonna come down and it is gonna force your paper to conform to the topography of the plate under pressure. And when it gets pushed into those indentations, it's gonna pick up the ink. And that's how you get your impression. Now, if we come back to this, let's say this is our first trip into the bath, we come out of the bath, and then we decide that we want some of these lines to be deeper. There's 2 things I can do now. One is that I can apply something called a stop out to seal up and close off those lines. So is the bath able to get to these ones as you've stopped out? Can it reach the middle of the plate now?
No.
No. So it can't reach those. They're covered in stop out. They will not get any deeper, so they will not get any darker. They will not hold any more ink. These areas that you left open, the next time you go into the bath will get deeper. And let's say you come in and you open up a new line. So now the next time you go into the bath, assuming that you went in for the same amount of time, you'll have a new line here, the same as those other lines, but these lines are gonna get deeper. Which means that when you ink it up, they're going to hold more ink. And since they're holding more ink, what are they gonna look like on your paper?
Darker.
Exactly. That is etching in a nutshell. And that is the process we're gonna be doing. Now, you can take your etching needle, and this is your plate here. You can take your etching needle, and you can forcefully dig into the plate with your etching needle with force. This is called dry point, because the point of the etching needle stays dry, right? You don't put it into the bath. And what this does is it creates a indentation, but the metal has to go somewhere, right? Because in the etching bath, the etchant dissolves it. But when you're doing the dry point here, the metal gets kicked up on the side, because ink is soft and so is copper. So it just kind of pushes the metal out of the way, like this. And this is called a burr, where it raises this little lip of metal on the edge. So when you ink this up, the ink goes into the groove you made, but it also catches on the underside of the burr, And so you get a really dark, fuzzy looking line. It can be really textural and really appealing. However, it is fragile because the weight of the press bearing down on it over time is going to wear this away. Take away the rest of that. It's going to wear this away. And as it wears that away from the pressure, you're going to lose your burr, and then you're going to lose that dry point line. So if you have a plate that has dry point in it, you can't pull a lot of impressions. Each time that you pull an impression, it gets a little bit fainter on that burr because of the weight of the press. But that doesn't mean it's not a very useful technique, and if you wanted to add some dry point lines to your print, you can. Anybody have any questions about any of that? Can I use somebody's plate as demo?